I might do one more like in a different direction, since I know that Clayton's going to
Sure.
be more about the whole passion and that side of things in pursuit.
Yeah.
Maybe more the actual creative process itself and just how I go about
Yeah.
it, and then curious how you guys approach it. Um, I guess this is like super individual. Everyone's going to have their own way of doing it, but one way I found is like abstracting everything. And I guess because I tend to do
Mm.
like painting and things like that, it helps a lot for that. And actually, the process of painting starts to make you kind of see the world that way naturally. And it could be the same with music. I imagine people who do that, who kind of start to see patterns with things. And it could work with whatever craft I think you do. Like if it's filmmaking, you might be doing like storyboarding. You start to notice like certain patterns and pacing to a scene, and then you start to see the thing in an abstraction, like in storytelling, you've got the story arc, like the highs and lows, and then the climax and down, that kind of thing. And I find like applying that day to day, I've started just doing it automatically, and it's like a self-creating thing. It just happens all the time. Like you see an object, or you see a scene or whatever, and it's not just that one usual association we'll make with it, like, oh, it's a beautiful light hitting this, whatever. Um, it can be so many other things. It could be like just the shape of the light hitting down. That's a thing, and it reminds you of something else, and then you quickly jot that down as a note. Or it could be whatever, the most weird abstract thing. But just trying to think in that way, like break an association, like, no, the chair isn't literally just for using to sitting on, like it is also a shape that is blocking another one. Oh, this reminds me of something like for a scene where something else is blocking something else, and like continually breaking things down that way, without losing your mind too much. And that sweet spot is quite really like it. Yeah, for the creative process, I find it just works so well within boundaries too. When you don't have much to work with, you find that like there's so much you can do within a certain restrictions. Of thinking that way, I guess. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think of that.
Yeah. My mind almost never turns off for that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
almost can be intrusive, and because I have like a writing mind, but then also a game design mind, it's almost ridiculous. Like if I even just to drop a pencil, the way it hits the ground,
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
I could make an entire game out of that, like that thing or whatever. And
yeah.
it's just I have like a billion ideas every day, and for me, it's just come down to trying what I do here. My process for at least screenwriting, and even games to a certain point, is a lot of times I will just purposely not do any work. I'll just let ideas bounce around in my head, and sometimes I let it sit for like 6 months. And after a certain amount of time, you'll notice a group of ideas flow well together. Like these three could be in the same theme, and I'm like, okay, those three things I could actually include in the same story.
Mm.
This one over here, that's a different one. That's a darker story. I'll save that for when I have more darker thoughts or whatever. And I just like over time, I eventually have a lot of ideas that get bigger. They simmer in the pot kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I have enough of those ideas now that I could tell a full story, or I have enough, a gameplay mechanic, whatever it is. So a lot of my creative process now is being patient and waiting and not forcing myself to work. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I would force myself to, like, I have to treat it like a job. I have to sit here at 9 to 5 and stare at my screen and write or come up with ideas. And then I realized one day, like, that's not fun. Like the whole point of doing art in the first place was avoiding the job, like the
Yeah.
boring job. And so I was like, I want to make sure I'm actually having a good time when I create stuff. So now I'm more patient, and there's some drawbacks to that, and not everyone has the luxury to to do that. But in my life right now, I do have the time to be like, I'm going to take my time with this and give each idea its own I don't know, time in the oven kind of thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm writing a book about this. I'm finished it actually. I wrote a whole book about this exact topic, so I could go on forever about this. It's I Because I've been doing it for like 20 years. I've almost come full circle on some things. I used to swear I would never do certain things, and now I love them. Like going from planning very intricately to now being more freestyle and free flow kind of thing. I think once you get more confident in your art, you can be a bit more looser and break the rules, and I think that's an exciting time for any artist when you kind of realize things. That's when you can implement your own style with anything, whether it's painting or writing or whatever it is. When you're first starting out, though, I think rules can be important to like keep you on track. But then at a certain point, I think it holds you back, and you need to learn and be confident with breaking the rules and being okay with going outside the lines and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I could go on forever. I'll stop. I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well said, though, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roderick, I
Yeah,
cut
no,
you off.
no. Yeah, what do you reckon, Clayton?
I actually agree a lot with with what Cooper said. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to add. I actually 100% agree with Cooper. He kind
Right,
of reminded me of that cheesy quote where, what's the ultimate technique? To have no technique.
right. Yeah,
You end up, you're working, and it almost takes 20 years in any endeavor to become really proficient at it. And once you reach that 20-year goal, all of a sudden you realize, oh, okay, well, I liked a lot of aspects of this, I liked a lot of aspects of that, but you know, I kind of want to just do my own thing now. Now I just want to, it's like archery. I'm just going to start shooting arrows. Let's
yeah,
just go, because I have friends who, in whether it's acting or script writing or filmmaking, all very talented, but they're kind of at this stage in their career where they're stuck on the technique, they're stuck on the rule book, right? And some of those books were written by people who could never play, oddly enough. Right? Not to say that there's no value in those techniques. But I actually, I don't know if maybe I heard this somewhere, but I actually started coining this phrase on the last couple of productions, because you always have something written on the page that you want to do, and then either it's leading up to filming or you're on the day and you realize I actually can't do that. We don't have the money, we don't have the time, or this wasn't thought out. And I'll be talking to heads of department, and they'll be like, "Whoa, but we got to do this and we have to do that." And I go, "But why? We made it up.
yeah.
We made it up. It doesn't exist. You're holding on to this rule, but we made the rule. Like, so why don't we just recreate something else that we know we can do? Just throw it away. And that's not out of any disrespect for the work that's gone into it. It speaks more to what Cooper was saying, is that there's a certain point in time where you know fuck it. Yeah. You just got to go for it, dream big, and just keep going.
Where do you find yourself right now, Roderick? I know you were, you were here in Vancouver for a while, and now you're over there in France. How do you feel like as an artist right now? Are you trying to soak in a lot of this experience? Are you trying to? I know you said you're trying to go more independent. What are your thoughts right now in terms of like where you're at right now?
Yeah, well, I'm really trying to figure that out, actually. So I'm not very certain, but I know I love painting. I've always loved painting. So even when I was in Vancouver, I went down to San Diego to an art
Mm.
school there, and I learned a lot of stuff. And like that's what I learned. I was learning painting to get into the game industry to do stuff, but I always just loved painting for the sake of it. But I always found like not an option to go to, because I'm like, that's the hardest possible way. You're going to try and make money as an artist doing that. Like, just go to an industry that has some more money in it. But the more I kind of just realized that I continue to work a side job and I can make money off that, got my own place now and everything. I don't need a whole lot to be happy, which thankfully, because it would suck if I felt like I need a lot of things, because doing this that kind of lifestyle does not go well with that, as you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like now I have the option to explore what I want to do. I love games and I love painting and fine art, so a fusion of those kind of things. Like I don't know if you're an artist, Ashley Wood. He's Australian, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mm.
this kind of style that mixes those both worlds. I really love making like art books, this kind of stuff. Maybe finding comic conventions and things like that to try to create your own thing essentially that way. But yeah, I'm continuing to practice oil painting always, and like life painting, whatever. I still keep doing that. So to keep the skills up, and when I have ideas, I think I've kind of collected the more ideas I have in my life since being here. and working a job, I don't have to think. And all day I'm just generating ideas and writing them down. So it's a matter of then like picking one, figuring out how it's possible to make, and then slowly start to make something with it. But it's a slow process because it's very organic.
Yeah, I think you're at probably one of the most exciting and terrifying points in like an artist's life, where it's like you're at the point of discovery and exploration, but you're also in the back of your mind going like, how do I make a future of this, or how do I navigate the road or whatever. So it's like a crossroads of like fear and excitement, which is I think something everyone goes through.
Yeah, and another part I wanted to mention actually is like, since being here, I've realized that I didn't really come here trying to find if it was a place where a lot of like innovative artistic stuff was happening, and it's not. And the more I spoke to people is that France isn't a country that is necessarily the best for that. So I'm considering making a move somewhere else, maybe the UK or Scotland or something where there's more things happening. Cool. Because that's a huge thing I've realized, I've learned from being here, is like how being isolated creatively really slows you down. Like it slowed me down a lot to not be able to communicate with other creatives. There's something to be said about having, I think, independence and solitude to form your own ideas, but too much of it goes the other way around as well. So I'm really trying to work to like find groups and other creatives that have passion projects, stuff they want to do, and collaborate together. Yeah.